Now, Jeffrey Epstein's associate and former girlfriend has made a sharp U-turn. She has refused to answer questions before a U.S. House of Representatives committee this week. In fact, Ghislaine Maxwell indicated that she may testify in exchange for clemency. In her opening statement, Pam Bondi also called Epstein a monster and told the victims that she was sorry for the abuse they endured. Now, this was a separate testimony given by the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi. So, lawmakers have now directed a litany of complaints at Pam Bondi about how the Justice Department has handled its release of the files. Several have also criticized what they said was a failure to redact the names of victims as required by law.
Fresh documents from the latest Epstein file release are raising sharp new questions about what US President Donald Trump may have known during the early years of the sex trafficking investigation. An FBI summary of a 2019 interview with former Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Reiter claims Trump called law enforcement in July 2006, just as the investigation became public. According to the report, Trump said, "Everyone has known he's been doing this," and thanked officers for stopping Epstein. The document suggests Trump told police that people in New York already viewed Epstein as disgusting, and that Ghislaine Maxwell was an operative who was evil. The file also says Trump told investigators he once saw Epstein around teenagers and immediately left. Trump has repeatedly said he had no idea about Epstein's crimes. That earlier claim is now under scrutiny as critics say the FBI's summary appears to contradict his public comments in 2019. The White House says the alleged call may or may not have happened. It insists that it aligns with Trump's long-standing claim that he cut ties with Epstein years before the arrest. Justice Department officials say they have not found independent proof that Trump contacted police 2 decades ago. The files revisit the origins of the Palm Beach investigation. Police began surveillance in the early 2000s after reports of young women entering Epstein's mansion. In 2005, a teenager accused Epstein of assault, leading to a larger probe that uncovered dozens of potential victims. Former Chief Reiter told the FBI he felt pressure to move the case forward after local prosecutors declined to act. The investigation was eventually handed to federal authorities, but a controversial plea agreement in 2008 allowed Epstein to avoid more serious charges and serve just over a year in jail, much of it on work release. Former Chief Reiter told investigators he believed the system failed survivors and described attempts by Epstein's legal team to track police officers and dig through their trash during the case. Separate reporting based on interviews and documents paints a deeper picture of Trump and Epstein's relationship. The two allegedly moved in the same elite social circles for years, attending parties, fashion events, and gatherings in New York and Florida. Witnesses described frequent phone calls in the 1990s and appearances together at Mar-a-Lago and Manhattan events. Trump has said they fell out in the early 2000s and that Epstein was banned from his club. Investigations have found no evidence that Trump took part in Epstein's trafficking of minors, but multiple accounts describe a friendship built around nightlife and access to models and social events. Some women who attended parties said Trump was present, but did not accuse him of abuse. Trump has denied numerous allegations of sexual misconduct unrelated to Epstein and has called critical reporting politically motivated.
Joining me live on World 360 is Marina Lacerda, who's an Epstein survivor. Thank you for joining in, Marina. We stand in solidarity with you and other Epstein survivors as well. To begin with, Pam Bondi has forcefully defended the Justice Department's handling of the files. She also engaged in a heated confrontation with Democrats who have accused the U.S. Attorney General of a cover-up of the Epstein files, even accused her of turning the Justice Department into an instrument of revenge for Donald Trump. I'd like your thoughts.
Hi, thank you for having me here. Well, I think first of all, we need to clear up that we already know, whose side Pam Bondi is on after yesterday's hearing. And it was so disheartening to see her yesterday not able to answer, simple questions that Congress had asked her. And it was really sad and really disheartening, really dehumanizing when we stood up and she wasn't able to simply turn around and apologize to the survivors, not for the abuse that we've been through, because she did apologize in the beginning, but what her and her department has put us through. The least she could have done was just simply turn around and look at us and at least acknowledge us. But even so, this shows how this woman who is running the Department of Justice and who protects President Trump couldn't turn around and humanize us.
Marina, Ghislaine Maxwell has pleaded the fifth. And that also raises key questions. Who were the other co-conspirators? Who were the other men who raped underage girls? Did she have any conversations about a possible deal with Donald Trump? Given the number of times the US president has been named in these files, the White House has been accused of perhaps even colluding into a cover-up. Could you shed more light on how do you assess this entire situation?
I have to say it's always an excuse, right? I feel like the DOJ and, President Trump's administration always comes up with an excuse, but we really have to understand here, we are all looking at the same file. And as much as Pam Bondi sat there and tried to gaslight everybody into something that we all see with our own eyes, we are all reading the same thing. We are all seeing that not only President Trump's name has not also been named about 4,000 and something times, but it's been 1,000,000 times. We need to take this into a serious matter. We have to understand other countries are taking down these people who are, enabling with the Epstein files and the Epstein trafficking ring. What are we doing here in America? So we have to think 100% this is a cover-up. We have to move forward. We have to ask people to ask for justice and to ask for these men, these perpetrators who are named, to be brought into, some sort of justice and not just be kept, under the carpet. It doesn't work like that. We just can't keep sweeping things under the carpet.
My last question, Marina. Juliet Bryant, who's also an Epstein survivor, has called on the palace to proactively search files and emails related to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. The king, of course, has expressed his concerns, but is that going to be enough?
Well, I have to say, and I appreciate the king, being very worried and concerned about these files. I think that everyone is worried and concerned. The real question here is, what are we going to do about it? Why hasn't Andrew answered to American lawyers about certain allegations? Well, not certain allegations, I'm sorry, certain new discovery that they have found about a survivor. Why is Andrew ignoring the former prince is ignoring his lawyers and ignoring our lawyers to answer questions? This is where, again, I have to say, these men who are not only pedophile, but have raped these women and have trafficked them, they cannot be, we cannot discard it and just let it, be forgotten about. This is someone who will continue to do this. So we have to stop them. So we plead for Andrew, for former Prince Andrew, to answer to American lawyers and to come here and do the right thing.
Do the right thing, absolutely. May truth and justice prevail. Many thanks to you, Marina, for joining in on World 360. Appreciate it.